If you're a business owner, you don't need us to tell you running a business is tough. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you the visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Join the over 21,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/C-suite. netsuite.com/C-suite.
Welcome back to the Superhero Homies podcast. My name is Quentin, and as always, I'm here with the homie Kevin.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here back to back.
Yeah. Back again. Did y'all miss us?
Yeah. I know, right? It's been a long 24 hours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But, as always, it's good to be back.
It is.
Yeah.
This is a very comfortable space for us. How are you doing, man?
About the same since yesterday.
Yeah, I thought so. Same here. Same here. Not much excitement in 24 hours.
Right. Yeah, no, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot to happen between now and
Yeah. And that's okay.
That's A-okay. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But we hope all your homies out there listening have been doing fine also. Hope everyone's had a great week so far, and hope everyone, is ready to hear about the button tonight. Yeah. And not just any button, the button.
Yeah. Not the big red one either.
No. Yeah, there's a lot of buttons out there.
There are.
But we're talking about the button.
And we're also not talking about that spare awkward button that comes with all your shirts, and you're just like, well, what am I going to do with this? I don't want this. But then you think, I might as well keep it just in case.
Right, just in case.
And you put it in that sock drawer.
And then you never use it. And
exactly.
Then,
and then you end up throwing it away a year later.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, not that button. Anyway, guys, we're talking about DC's The Button. This is the Batman Flash team-up story, which also acts as a direct follow-up to DC Rebirth. And we covered that one just last week. And so we thought that it's only, natural that we follow it up with The Button. Because, DC Rebirth opens up the world in DC Comics. And, but as it opens up the road, it does leave a lot of questions to be answered. And The Button doesn't answer all those questions because then there'd be nothing else to talk about. Yeah. But it does follow up extremely well.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So before we get too heavily into it, there was one question I definitely prepped for tonight. Now, you, Q, have much more exposure and time with this material than I do. I've only more recently been exposed to it within like the past month or so, really. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. So, Rebirth and The Button are both relatively short stories, really. There isn't a lot of page material between these two books. So, why do you think they separated them? Why do you think there was the idea to create the Rebirth and then to create The Button?
I think it was necessary for a lot of reasons. I mean, for one thing, like, this, even though this does act as a follow-up, I wouldn't say that it acts as a direct sequel because there's a lot of things that happens in between time. For example, there's early on here in the story where, there's a reference to Psycho Pirate's mask and it reacting to the button. And of course, if you haven't read any of Batman's run in DC Rebirth, written by Tom King, Tom King is also the writer for The Button. Right. But if you haven't read any of Batman's run in DC Rebirth, then you probably really don't know who Psycho Pirate is or why he's important in any way, shape, or form. And meanwhile, from Barry Allen's perspective, like, he's it's hard to follow it up, without, knowing about Flash's side of things as well, about him kind of getting debriefed from Wally and vice versa. Wally going through the whole ordeal where he wasn't even technically existing during the New 52, and now he's back in the DC universe. And so, like, there's a lot of things that go on in these separate characters' runs that leads them together to this.
Okay.
So, like, this, it'd be hard to make this a, just a continuation or one in the same book.
Right. With the amount of detail that went into Rebirth, there was equal detail which went into DC the Button here. You know,
Right.
And the way you mention it now, that is a fair point of view. That there were so many extra details to the Button, things that showed a continuation, really, of other stories tying in, like
Right.
The Mask and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's a good point you bring up. It's just something I wanted to jump headfirst into, really, because thinking about it and myself reading this, like, wow, all right, I'm like so many pages in, and I'm already done. This was another shorty, interesting. So thank you for clarifying. That's very good thought process. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. So before we get into it, also,
What's up?
we were like your overall vague thoughts on the Button.
My overall vague thoughts. It was
Yes.
good.
There we go.
Excuse me, but no, I did like the Button. There are questions I had, which I knew you tonight. You were definitely capable of answering them, such as the Mask and whatnot. And thank you, because you already kind of answered that one with that came from a separate story. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then a few other things that we'll get into, of course, but. Really, I thought that the Button did a very good job of continuing us towards or around to the Doomsday Clock, if I may, and I cannot wait to get into that bad boy, because there's just more and more hints, more and more Easter eggs, more and more details laying out the inevitable future, really, of the DC universe as we know it here, and I can't wait for it. This was a very cool chapter in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And, the unfortunate thing about Doomsday Clock is that, it's, from what I've heard anyway, Doomsday Clock has been a very good story so far. However, like, they're only releasing it bi-monthly instead of monthly, like the typical comic run.
That's genius. Oh, my
yeah.
gosh. That's capitalistic genius, man. They know I'm going to buy that.
Right.
Yeah. All of us, yeah.
But the problem for readers like me is that that means they have to wait probably twice as long for them to release it in a volume.
2 years later. Oh, here's the volume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't think they'll wait quite that long. But
Hopefully.
yeah. But probably once they're done with the last issue, which I think is maybe issue number 6. I think they're like on number 4 now. But so maybe 4 months from now, I think that they may have. Like a volume ready for release with all of them together.
That's depressing.
Yeah.
I just need a button for that. That's depressing.
And that is why a lot of comic readers buy their individual comics as they come out. So
And that's fun and good, definitely.
Right.
I wonder mathematically which one would be cheap. Whatever. Let's talk about that later.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into the Button, guys. I myself, I really did enjoy this a lot, even, reading it a second time. I found a lot of wealth in this book here. And I gotta say this book, like I already mentioned, was written by Tom King. And now Tom King, he's the writer that was tasked with writing for Batman now. Of course, in the New 52, it was Scott Snyder, and Scott Snyder became quite possibly my favorite Batman writer ever. Because his run on Batman in the New 52 was masterful. It was great. Honestly, it probably should have ended at volume 8, but it went 2 more, and it is what it is.
Okay. I have not read those. I think I read 1 through 6 or 7 because again I was bumming them off for you, and I loved them, dude.
Yeah,
I loved the new turns that they were taking and everything. It was great.
Yeah.
That's a conversation that I could get into for way too long.
Yeah. But Tom King now writing for Batman and DC Rebirth. He's done 5 volumes so far, and I've read all 5 that's been released so far. And I gotta say that he does some things, of course, differently from Scott Snyder. And they're different people, so of course they're gonna write for Batman differently. Sure. I don't think that Tom King is as good of a writer for Batman as Scott Snyder was.
Okay.
I was going to ask you that. I will say this for DC or for the Button, I should say, he does a really great job. Like, I have virtually no complaints about his writing in this book here, which was a sweet relief for me, because there's some complaints that I do have about his writing for Batman and other characters in DC Rebirth.
Okay.
I will say this, and this even shows here and the Button, Tom King, his strengths for Batman definitely lie in relying on the heart and determination of Batman. And that does come through here, and that's one of his strongest strengths when it comes to writing for Batman.
I can sense that, and that's definitely shown through a lot of the emotional weight of our character here in both stories. Okay.
He also does something here that I wish he did more in his actual run on Batman.
What's that?
Is that he also shows more of Batman's intelligence, which is a staple for Batman. Something that he doesn't do a whole lot in DC Rebirth, at least not from what I've seen so far in the Batman run. Not to say that he's a bad writer, he's not. For me, he's just no Scott Snyder.
And then let me ask you this, because our boy Tom has to play with some confusing roles as well, things that, if he's not careful, could carry over inaccurately, really. How do you think he's done with the Flashes? The numerous names have popped up here,
right.
you know?
So, the only... I don't know who's writing The Flash and DC Rebirth. I don't know who's writing that.
Do you think it could be... I got the page pulled up here. Do you think it could be Joshua Williamson, the other writer involved with this one, at least the Button?
It could be, but I'm not sure.
Okay. I just don't have the facts either.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
But I will say I really love what he does with Barry Allen, and I think that Tom King is probably a better writer for the Flash than he is for Batman, just because of how the characters are. Because Barry Allen does have a lot of heart, and Tom King writes his characters to have a lot of heart, and that's really his strength. That's what I've seen from his writing so far. But for the Button, he does damn near what I would consider to be a perfect job as far as delving into the characteristic of the two main protagonists here, and also the side characters that we get. Everything here is done really well.
Whoa, I did not know this, but apparently I got the Wikipedia page pulled up if you guys couldn't tell. But apparently Tom King is an ex-CIA officer. Yeah. Go you, buddy. Piss. And look at him sitting there wearing his Batman shirt. Look at him wearing that.
Yeah.
He's proud he's writing Batman.
Yeah, he should be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, definitely for a different time, I'll be more than happy to go more in depth as to what I think he does well and not so well for Batman. But as far as this book is concerned, as far as the Button is concerned, he does a really good job. And I really don't have that many complaints at all.
Yeah.
But so the story starts off here with a hockey game. And I actually really enjoyed this opening.
Yeah, same here, actually. It was way different. And I had to go back and read it again in my short time handling the book and whatnot. Yeah. It was good.
Right. It starts off with a hockey game here, and it's Gotham versus Metropolis, of course.
Of course.
Yep. And it looks like it's going to be a really close game. It's tied at 1-1, and time is running out, so they're trying to win. You can tell that I sport a lot, right?
Totally. Oh yes, we, especially down here in the South, we just love our ice hockey.
And this is actually playing in Arkham Asylum, and I guess there's like a wing for like the non-violent mental patients there.
Right.
And this is where we see Saturn Girl. Now, if you guys remember during the DC Rebirth review, Saturn Girl was in there and she was being investigated. And, she claimed to be from the future and that she knew Superman and all that. And so people thought that she was crazy, and so they put her in the mental institution. But, of course, she actually is from, like, the 31st century. And so they put her in jail.
Yep.
And so here she is again now, and she's watching this game, and she's starting to freak out because she realizes that she recognizes this game. This is a game where something happened. She says, the man is going to die. He's going to die. We have to stop this.
Yeah, she was not kidding.
She wasn't kidding.
What a way to go.
Right, yeah. She was freaking out, and of course the orderlies, had to restrain her and all that. And so, that's kind of an interesting opening that they're choosing here to go with Saturn Girl. One question that's not quite answered here is why she's freaking out so much. Of course, but I guess the bigger question here is that, of course, we know that she is actually from the future, so it is likely that she knew that this guy was going to die.
Right.
In the hockey game. However, I don't know why that has any significance to stand out. Like, if you were to go back to the 1920s,
Sure.
And watch, I don't know, a boxing match, like unless, there was like a legendary boxing match, I don't know why it would stand out to you and why would you remember the outcome.
I don't know. This is what I'm hoping. This was my thought in reading about Saturn Girl here and previously in what we spoke about last week and everything. But I'm hoping that this is going to become like some type of a cataclysmic event, which is going to be the doorway leading us to some other more horrendous act, which is going to happen. Or this is evidence of something that is already happening within civilization. Like, oh, there's some shit infecting people or whatever. Yeah. I'm not writing for them.
Right.
But
I think that maybe the historical significance of this isn't going to be so much the death of the hockey player, but maybe, and I don't want to jump ahead too far, but I think that maybe the significance is going to be that Flash showed up, but he was too late, and then that led to Flash doing something else later on in the book.
Maybe. We'll I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that there'll be future details in the rest of this run that the Button is involved in, and showing us why Saturn Girl came back and decided to relive the past and to see all this and to kind of expose us as readers to these small things which don't seem to matter right now, like this hockey game fight.
Right. And also, because I haven't read much of anything outside of the Justice League and Batman as far as DC Rebirth as the series is concerned.
Right.
But I don't think that Saturn Girl willingly came back in time. I think that during the Rebirth, that as everything was being shifted, that she was moved back in time. That's my personal thought.
Okay.
But anyways, moving on here, we see Batman in the Batcave here, and he's analyzing the Button, and he has several screens up on the back computer, and on one of those screens he has the hockey game. And now this, I'm also not really sure why Batman has the hockey game playing.
Yeah, no, that's not really explained either. I had the same question, because Batman, I'm not sure if he's even said the word hockey in his life.
Right.
And
the thing of it is, even if he is a fan, I don't see Batman ever having that on his screen, because Batman would always view something like that as a distraction to what he's trying to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's trying to analyze the Button here. Why is there a hockey game playing? But yeah, that's never really addressed.
No, it's like, where'd you get the hint that something like this was happening, dude? But whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. But I will say this: something that I like here that the artist does is that they go back to that 9-frame panel, so you have 9 boxes on a page here, and of course that's really reminiscent of the Watchmen, written by Alan Moore, that came out way back when. So I really enjoy that they're toying with this style of drawing again.
Yeah,
And so Batman, he's toying around with the Button, and he's thinking, but the hockey game is going on in the background. And the commentators for the hockey game are talking about how it looks like Taylor and Schuster are going at it. And
they quickly transformed from hockey to boxing commentators.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
and
which I'm sure is common in hockey.
And there is an Easter egg, and I also meant to mention another Easter egg during Rebirth.
Oh, what's up?
So the Easter egg here is that the two fighters, there's Taylor and Schuster. Taylor, really doesn't mean anything, but Schuster, one of the creators for Superman, is Joe Shuster.
Oh.
And DC Rebirth, when we covered that last week, when Superman and Lois and his son John were staying in the motel, that was actually called the Siegel Motel, and of course Jerry Siegel is the other creator for Superman. Yeah, so.
Yep. I did not know that. Yep. One more? Huh. All right, I'm good.
Yeah. But I really like. I know it's really just cutesy stuff, but I really appreciate things like that. When they sprinkle that stuff in there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But no, so as Batman is trying to figure out the mystery of the Button, he's coming up with nothing. But Schuster, he is beating the hell out of Taylor. I mean, Taylor's getting his ass whooped.
I mean, why even? It's like, what the shit, dude?
I don't
Calm
know.
Down.
Right. I don't know what transpired in this game for these two to hate each other that much.
Did you plan this?
Right.
Did he sleep with your wife? Or what? Yeah.
But no, so as Batman is playing around with the Button, he realizes that he's not coming up with anything. And so what he does is he flicks the Button onto a table next to a mask. And I guess I'll try to make this really quick as to why this mask has any sort of significance. So this mask belongs to a villain known as the Psycho Pirate. And in the very first issue, yeah, it's a crazy name.
It's a crazy ass name. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
Psycho Pirate.
Right. Which is really funny because he doesn't have like any kind of pirate characteristics or anything like that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, someone needs to write a ska theme song for him. That totally deserves a ska type music. Right. Yes. Oh my gosh, I can hear the trombones now.
But Psycho Pirate, he shows up in DC Rebirth with Dr. Hugo Strange, of all people. Yeah. And so long story short, in the first volume of DC Rebirth, there are two new superheroes that show up that have really extraordinary powers. And Batman is kind of taking them under his wing a little bit. And everything's going pretty great until Hugo Strange shows up with Psycho Pirate. And what Psycho Pirate abilities are, he's able to manipulate you on an emotional level to the point where it causes you physical distraught or distress. And so what happens is that he can, or Psycho Pirate, he convinces the male superhero whose name was Gotham that he causes so much emotional distress in him that he goes crazy. And now Batman has to try to take this guy down. This guy that has almost in the short term, he has a unlimited amount of power. So essentially his power runs out the more that he uses it. This new superhero, but when he uses it to his full potential, even though it's limited, his power is extraordinary. Like for example, the Justice League shows up and this guy takes him down.
Wow.
Yeah. So
who'd you say he was? Gotham?
Yeah, his name is Gotham. He's a new superhero that shows up, and his sister is also helping him out. Her name is Gotham Girl. Yeah. And so they were actually turned out to be really cool characters. I didn't think I'd like them, but I did. But essentially what happens here is that because of Psycho Pirate, Gotham goes crazy. And unfortunately, his powers do burn out, and Batman finds a way to take him down, but there's no saving him.
So the power's burning out, the lifespan burnt out.
Yeah.
End of Gotham.
Right.
The man, not the city.
Yeah. But now what happens to Gotham Girl is that Psycho Pirate also gets a hold of her as well, but she reacts in a different manner. It causes her emotional distress, but she's like bedridden, shaking, almost like a super potent hit of Scarecrow's toxin hit her.
Interesting.
Yeah, it hits her like that, and like she goes crazy, but like in a different sense. Like she's bedridden, she can't do anything.
So maybe like a type of anxiety or panic attack, really. Wow, that's kind of cool that they would incorporate that into present day writing, because that is a huge present problem, you know. So interesting,
Yeah, but it's almost to the point where she's like conscious but catatonic because she can't really do anything.
Right.
It's like she's there, but she's not there. It's really interesting. And so the way that Volume 1 ends is Hugo Strange and Psycho Pirate, they get away. The volume ends with Batman stopping Gotham and Gotham Girl, and then he takes Gotham Girl into his home to try to find a cure for her. And he realizes that he needs Psycho Pirate, but now Psycho Pirate has gone somewhere else.
Why does he call himself pirate?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I don't know either.
Did you pirate their emotions?
Essentially.
My emotions.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But no. So what happened is actually where the story really picks up at the end of Volume 1 is that he goes to Amanda Waller because he realizes that Psycho Pirate is at a prison. The prison is known as Santa Prisca, the very same prison where Bane is at. And
Nope.
And Batman, he can't take the Justice League or the Bat family with him there, even though he needs backup. He can't take them because it's on international waters. It's illegal, and he doesn't want to put them. Yeah. And so he goes to Amanda Waller and goes, "I need to assemble a team," and that's where it ends for Volume 1.
Wow.
So essentially, he assembles like the world's shittiest team in Volume 2. I mean, like, no, really, he does. It's the shittiest team ever.
Okay.
Yeah. Either you haven't heard of these characters, or they're extremely vague, or you forgot about them, or all of the above. So he gets the Harley Quinn and Joker ripoff. Their names are Punchy and Jewel. Yeah.
That sounds horrible. Yeah,
It's pretty horrible. It's almost like Harley and Joker if Joker really cared for Harley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He gets Bronze Tiger, which you may or may not have heard of.
I have heard of him, actually. Why is he here?
He's a good fighter. He's familiar with the Venom. And then he gets let's see if you remember this guy. He gets the ventriloquist.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Only reason I know about him is because I read some of the old school comics we have stored away, and he was there.
Yeah. I primarily remember him from the animated TV show.
That's true too. I remember he was on one of the first episodes of season 1 of the Batman animated show.
Right. But now he doesn't have like the actual puppet with him because he's in Arkham. They took the puppet away.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the entire issue, you're wondering, why is Batman taking this?
I know, right?
This man?
Why is he taking this horrible ragtime team?
Right.
Like, okay.
And then he ends it with a good recruit. He gets Catwoman. So
thank goodness.
Yeah, so it's like the world's shittiest team. And honestly...
plus Catwoman.
Yeah. Plus Catwoman.
Outside of that
title. Yeah. And honestly, the plan that Batman comes up with is... I think it's a shitty plan. It's kind of a flaw in Tom King's writing. But it ends with him getting Psycho Pirate, and he uses the ventriloquist as a buffer because when Psycho Pirate tries to interact with the ventriloquist, it has no effect because he's already emotionally disturbed.
There it is. Yeah. There's the reason.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And so Batman's, long story short, he's able to get the ventriloquist, deal with Bane, and get Psycho Pirate, and he's able to use Psycho Pirate to help treat Gotham Girl to cure her. Yeah.
And thus the mask being left over in his cave is just the ending to that story.
Yes.
Fair.
And now the reason all that's important is because of what the mask does now. So once Batman in current day in the button, he puts the button next to Psycho Pirate's mask, and then it reacts. We see Thomas Wayne dressed up in full Batman attire. He appears almost like a ghost.
Yeah.
And Batman looks at him and immediately recognizes him as his father. He reaches out for him, then Thomas Wayne immediately disappears.
Yeah.
And so the reason why that happened is most people's guesses is knowing Psycho Pirate and his abilities is probably it had some kind of connection between the dimensional abilities of this button, wherever they are.
Sure.
Interacted with the emotional abilities of the mask. Interacted with Batman and found something that he has an emotional attachment to.
So really, it's kind of like they homemade their own Infinity Stones, and all of a sudden, this is like the stone of dimensional reality, and this is the stone of emotional well-being.
I suppose we can put it like that.
Sure. But more importantly, some random magic, space, knowledge, science, how these two said, hey, what's up? Powers connected, and then...
Right.
Yeah, and I remember reading this, and all of a sudden, you're right, Thomas Wayne shot out, and he's in Thomas Wayne Batman attire, which had those really cool pauldrons, like those scary spikes coming out of his shoulder. Yeah, exactly. And that was really cool.
Yeah,
and,
I thought so too, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what?
Right.
You know.
And so you can imagine how that would make Batman feel.
It stopped him.
Oh, yeah. Seeing his father, and then seeing his father dressed up as a version of Batman.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then what happens next is one of the coolest parts to me. So he calls up the Flash, and it's like, Flash, you need to get your ass over here ASAP. I don't know what the button did, but it did something.
I loved this part.
Yeah. And Flash, he's like, well, I'm fighting an army of Samuroid right now. And I don't know if you guys may recognize Samuroid if you guys still watch the Flash TV show. He actually showed up in season 3, and he was actually pretty cool there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so he's basically like an android samurai, and I am not mad at that.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. And he's almost Ultron-esque in the sense of there's so many of them. There's an army of them.
Cool.
Yeah.
And he can replicate through data and whatnot, I'm sure, somehow.
I'm not familiar enough with Samuroid to confirm that.
But an android samurai.
Yeah.
I don't need to ask for more. I'm satisfied. You don't even have to tell me how.
Right.
I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. But what happens next, like you said, really is awesome. And so Batman's like, hurry your ass up and get over here. And Barrett's
literally.
And Barrett's like, okay, it shouldn't take me any more than a minute. I'll be there in a minute. And then we see a clock appear, a digital clock appears at the bottom of the panels. and it's counting down from a minute. So as each panel goes on, time kind of goes down. And so Batman's looking at the button when it's at 59 seconds. At 58 seconds, a bolt of lightning comes in, and Batman just assumes it's the Flash because it seems like the Flash is lightning. And Batman goes, "Oh, well, that's quick, Barry, even for you." And well, he actually calls him Flash. He goes, "That's really fast, Flash." And then a voice replies, "Flash, no." Quite the reverse, actually.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep.
The old douchebag.
Yep, the old douchebag. He's back.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's great to see him back. I don't know if he made any appearances in the New 52 because technically he was killed in Flashpoint.
Right, and they explain why he's back, and I thought it was fascinating because that made him a whole new type of archvillain.
It did,
really,
yeah.
You know? But yeah, please continue because I know you're going to go on to that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so Batman gets punched hard, super hard by Reverse Flash at 57 seconds, and then at this point, the Reverse Flash, he's there. He's like, I don't know what drew me here until he saw the button. He's like, so this is why I'm here.
Yep.
So there's something about the button that drew Reverse Flash here, and he knows that there's something up with it. And because he even goes, I should be dead, but for some reason I'm not. I'm back, and I'm not tethered to Barry anymore. Because beforehand he kind of was tethered to Barry, like killing him in a paradoxical sense would stop him from ever becoming Reverse Flash. So instead he would just make Barry's life a living hell.
Yeah. Which he was very proud of being able to do.
Yeah. And of course, Batman tries to attack Reverse Flash. Doesn't work. Like Reverse Flash does like the blur technique, so Batman just kind of phases through him. Yeah.
But Batman did have a really smart answer for that, and it made sense.
Right.
But I'll let you get to it.
Yeah. And so like they have a really brief conversation, and Reverse Flash is like, "Do you really want to fight?" And so literally, guys, at second 47, Batman gets punched 5 times in 1 second.
Yep.
And these aren't jabs. No, these are like haymakers. And so, like, in 4 different panels, they're all at number 47, and Batman is getting rocked. And by, like, and all in that 1 second. Could you imagine getting hit like that?
No, I couldn't. That's way too fast. Stop. What just happened? Which one of you hit me?
Right.
Yeah.
Essentially. And then Batman gets punched like 5 more times in second 46.
Yep.
And, like, these are all brutal punches. Like, the artist here does a great job showing like the just the sheer brutality.
Yeah. Ooh, good timing. Yeah.
And then, like by second 44, Batman's nearly out of it, and the Reverse Flash, he takes Batman and he runs him through like a plate of glass in the Batcave, and it's at this point where Reverse Flash finds a letter. It's the very same letter that Thomas Wayne had written for Bruce.
This was a dick move.
This was a super dick move. So you guys all know the letter from Flashpoint that Thomas wrote for Bruce.
Iconic,
yeah. Reverse Flash takes the letter and he goes, "Oh, Thomas Wayne, I remember that douchebag. He stabbed me." And he rips the letter up into like little shreds. And of course, that sends Batman into a frenzy. Batman's super pissed, and rightfully so. That was like the one tether he had, the one bit of a piece he had from his father. And now at this point, Reverse Flash, he's just gloating. He's just showing off now because he knows that there's nothing Batman can do. And so he's walking towards Batman using this blur technique. And Batman, like you said, comes up with a pretty ingenious plan.
I really liked this. It
did. Yeah, it makes sense. Batman goes, I know that while you're blowing, like, I can't touch you, but I do know that you have to be walking on solid ground for it to work. And Reverse Flash is like, what? And Batman stabs him in the foot with one of his batarangs.
Which, the more you think about it in a comical sense, yes, but the more you think about it, the feet would be the weakness of a speedster,
right? Or the knees,
or the knees. You cap them knees, then what speed you got, son?
Right. Yeah,
speed of recovery, but you got to recover. Stab him in the foot,
right?
Giving him a bad day.
Yeah. And so Batman's able to get a couple punches in here, and I really love what they do here because once Batman stabs him in the foot, he's able to hit him like 2 or 3 times between seconds 22 and 20. And so we see that there is obviously a speed difference here.
Right, yeah. Helping us to better imagine it.
Right.
Know, this picture on panel.
Yeah, exactly. And so after like those flurry of haymakers from Batman, Reverse Flash does like a sonic boom clap that sends Batman flying back into like the Batcomputer. And
cool skill. Cool skill.
Oh yeah, super cool skill. What I really love here about this entire fight, even though I'm such a hardcore Batman fan, what I really love here is that they're not sugarcoating this shit. And they're like, I mean, Reverse Flash is toying with Batman. Like, Batman unprepared, like, what can he do against Reverse Flash? What can most people do against Reverse Flash?
What can most people do against any speed that damn fast?
Yeah.
Like, you punch me 5 times in a second?
Right.
Can I put my towel in now? Are we done?
Yeah. I mean, like, literally, if he punched you 5 times, you might see one of the punches.
Yeah. You'd see one of the punches, feel 5 of them,
Right.
and then see, like, the end, like, the turning of the elbow. And you're just like, I'm sorry. Give me a few more seconds here. Let me compute the pain that just happened to me.
Yeah. Seriously, because I don't think I'd be able to comprehend that kind of ass whooping.
Me neither. My brain would be trying to, like, connect the synapses and say, we just got punched. Oh, no, we just got 5 punches.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit, yeah.
Right. And so what happens next is great because Batman, he gets up from that sonic boom clap. And he's got glass shards all in him now. And Reverse Flash is like, you can't be serious. You really want to fight? You know you can't win this fight. And it's at this point where Batman goes, oh, I know I can't win. I'm just buying time. I just need 11 more seconds. And he says that right as the clock says 11 seconds.
Yep.
So Batman, being like the master tactician, he even knew what time, how much time had passed.
Which... That's a tricky thing to do, to successfully count down a minute in perfect timing without looking at the clock once.
Right.
Like, so many people will get off course and say, like, too many seconds too quickly or too many seconds too slowly, either or. And then you're off your minute by a good 5 or 7 or maybe even 10 seconds, you know? Yeah, and it's like, oh, damn, Batman's got that tempo down.
He does.
While getting hit 5 times in a second.
Right. But it really just goes to show, like, how cool Batman is, like, on a different level, And so at this point, as cool as this moment was, I think if I were Batman and I was able to keep track of time, I wouldn't have told him that.
Yeah. No.
I mean, even though Reverse Flash doesn't know what he means by that, I don't think.
Probably not. No.
Yeah.
Reverse Flash at this point is more high on the power.
Right. But I also think that Reverse Flash knows that if Batman says I only have 11 seconds, then I really only have 11 seconds. I need to do something.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to happen.
I mean, he was obviously a smart dude, Reverse Flash, you know? Yeah. Maybe he got a touch of the madness, but... Yeah.
And so for, like, the next... 8 seconds, he whoops the shit out of Batman. Batman gets like 1 or 2 punches in, but no, Reverse Flash definitely gets the upper hand here. Yeah, for sure. Batman is beaten and bloodied into like a pulp, and time's up. Time is up, and Barry doesn't show. So what happens is that Reverse Flash, he goes over to the button, which is now laying on the ground. And he picks up the button and he's intrigued by it. He goes, what is the mystery of this button?
This intrigued me so damn much, actually. Borrowing the same word you just used, I suppose. But no, this called my attention immediately. Like, whoa, what? Oh, the narration's doing this all of a sudden. Yeah.
And I really love how this is done here because he picks up the button, there's a huge flash of blue light, and then Reverse Flash is gone. And then we see a couple more panels of just empty. Like we see where he was and then he's gone. And for like the next 3 or 4 panels he's gone. And then he comes back and like there's like a blue aura around him, like a blue flame almost. Half his body is like burned or zombified, and you can tell that he's been through like a serious physical and mental ordeal.
Yeah.
Something's happened.
Like, he's standing there aghast. Just trying to take it
Right.
in.
Like, not even
he just got punched 5 times in a second. Yeah.
Like, he's not even aware. It seems like he's not even aware of his physical ailments because half his body, like we said, is zombified and burned up.
Or really even where he is, I'd say.
Yeah. He's not worried about that. He just goes, God, I saw God.
Yeah.
And then he falls dead. And so he's like, holy shit, like, what happened to Reverse Flash?
Batman's sitting there thinking, damn, I'm grateful that button didn't do that to me.
Yeah. And it's at this point that Barry Allen, the Flash, he finally shows up. And the reason he was late, he says, is because he went by the hockey fight to see if he could save Taylor, but it was too late. Taylor had been beaten to death by Schuster, the other hockey player. And so he couldn't save him. And but then after that, he rushed immediately here, and he sees a pummeled Batman and like a half disintegrated Reverse Flash laying next to him,
holding the button still.
And so, Flash is like, "What the shit happened here?"
Yeah. So Batman, did you just kill one of my arch nemesis here?
Yeah.
What's going on, bro?
Right. Like, what happened here? Oh man. Let's see, get my notes in order.
For sure. Yeah.
No, but so after this, Batman is now in extremely critical condition.
Yeah, lying in bed.
Yeah, lying in bed. He is no good to anyone. But he's Batman, so of course he is actually good to a lot of people. Not Reverse Flash, but the Flash, Barry Allen, he's gone around and he's done like a bunch of forensics on the area, a bunch of analysis, and he's trying to piece together everything that's happened here. But he's having a hard time.
Background.
Yeah, he's having a hard time because even with his forensics background, he can't rightly piece together everything that's happened. And so what happens is that he goes to like the one witness that saw, basically everything. He goes to Batman.
Yep.
And Batman is laying in bed where he should probably keep his ass at. But he does not. And so what's happened is that Barry and Batman, they're talking, and Barry's like, so what exactly did he say? And Batman goes, he said that he saw God, like with a capital G.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they announce how peculiar that was because this man was a scientist.
Yeah.
Not exactly a man of faith.
Right.
Who's claiming he saw God. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so this has to be something serious.
Right. And so at this point, Barry, you can tell that Barry's thinking, or at least Batman can tell that Barry's thinking, and Batman goes, Barry, I don't know if you're holding anything back from me, because Batman's able to deduce that. And Batman, he says, well, if you feel relief or even happiness, like, that's okay,
Yeah.
Barry's like, no, it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that at all. But he goes, okay, I'm gonna go check with Wally and see if I can get more information. To see, because Wally also saw a lot of things while he was slipping through the time stream.
Right. I mean, he's a survivor of that.
Right.
Of possibly the same exact forces here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting, really, because there's information out there, but it's so partial. It's so spaced out between everybody in the story, and
Right.
it's all coming together slowly in between these panels and in between these characters, and I can't wait for the rest of it. Yeah. I mean, this is just still another part, another chapter.
Right. Yeah. So before we get too far ahead, there's also another shot we get here. We see another familiar character from DC Rebirth. We see Johnny Thunder, the old man.
There he is. Yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah, he's back, and this time he's back. He's on the roof in the rain, and he's screaming out, "Say you, say you!" That once again,
the magic phrase.
Yeah, that's his magic phrase that summons his sidekick, Thunderbolt, because he still thinks that Wally was Thunderbolt, so he's trying to call him back in. And of course, the orderlies are like, what the shit? They don't pay us enough to take care of this old ass man.
No, that would be if you and I were the orderlies. Like, dadgummit, Q, lift his ass up, man. We're strapping him in bed.
Right. And at this point, he's still blaming himself for the, you can't even call it a disappearance, but for like the erasing of the Justice Society.
Right.
Which he may be, because they are hinting a lot that he actually caused their disappearance and not this Omnius Blue Force or the Rebirth or the New 52 or Flashpoint.
Right.
Just saying that he did this. Yeah, but so I mean the mystery of Johnny Thunder, I think that mystery maybe comes full circle, maybe in Doomsday Clock. I'm not sure because I
hope so. Yeah, you know, I hope a lot of these things come first circle, like you know, freaking Johnny Thunder, his stuff, Saturn Girl, her stuff, all this stuff.
Yeah,
you know, why the hockey player had to die.
Yeah. But I will say this at this point though, when we go back to Bruce and Wally, what's up?
No, I just saw something stupid.
Oh.
The hockey player who died, that's what I just said, right? Mm-hmm. And so my brain started filling in the gaps and bridging thoughts and being stupid like it normally tries to do, right? And then my brain started saying his name was Tyler Hockey. And then I went to Fight Club mode and said his name was Tyler Hockey. His name, you know.
Yep.
Exactly. Not worth sharing.
Yep.
But hey, I shared.
And it was Taylor.
His name was Taylor Hockey.
But one thing that I really like about this story is that I've never really thought too much about Batman and Flash's relationship until I read this book. And I really like their chemistry here. I mean, just because, you know, at one point, Barry even says, you know, when I joined the Justice League, like, I didn't really feel like I belonged. You know, I knew I was a part of the team, but kind of didn't feel like I was part of the team. But with Batman, he was the one person that I could talk forensics with all day, and he got it. Like, he knows it. And he even goes on to say that, you know, if Batman never became Batman, he would have made a hell of a cop. Which, yeah.
I mean, that's true. Batman would have, like, been the chief in charge of the other chiefs at this point. You know? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whatever that's called, the police colonel. Sure, I made that up. I don't know.
Commissioner? Or the chief?
No, like the guy in charge of the commissioners, you know, like the guy who's in charge of multiple cities of cop leaders,
right.
You know?
I think that's typically the mayor, actually.
I can't remember. No, But anyways.
But no, so Barry, he goes to the Watchtower, the big old Justice League terminal in the sky, in space, actually. And he goes to like where they keep like all the shit that they retrieve from bad guys and whatnot after battles. And trying to see if I have it here because Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, came up with a name for it. He calls it the Hall of Lost and Found. So pretty fitting. And so there's like a bunch of cool stuff there, you know, that they've gotten from past battles.
Yep.
I think they even have like one of like Ted Cord, the second Blue Beetle, the one that was a techie. I think they have like one of his giant beetle like hoverbots there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
But no, he goes there and he's looking around, but he also talks to Wally for a little bit. And Wally, he's there, but he's still kind of almost in shock a little bit when he talks about it. He's like, you know, I can't tell you what was there, but I can tell you that there was definitely something there.
Right.
And
something watching.
Yeah, he goes, and whatever it is, he's watching. He's watching all of us. And if that's not Omnius, I don't know what is.
Like, it very much is Omnius, and it's too easy to fill in the gaps and say who we all think it is, you know, a classic doctor, but that's too easy at the same time. So it still makes you wonder, like, well, what are they writing in here?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's at this point where Barry, man, like he's a brave son of a bitch because like after Wally telling him like about the dangers and like the fear of being on that time stream, what does Barry do? He goes to the cosmic treadmill, the thing that he swore to never use again, and he rips the sheet off of it and he goes, well, I'm gonna go on this time stream and see what I can find.
Yeah.
And And of course, as he's charging up, getting ready to go, who shows up?
Dadgum Batman.
Batman's like, you're not going in this shit alone. I'm going with you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
He ropes himself onto the cosmic treadmill and just says, all right, let her rip.
Yeah. And I love the conversation here because Barry's like, you don't get it, Batman. Like, we're going to be doing like some interdimensional traveling. And Batman's like, Barry, I've done this before.
Exactly.
And Barry's like, no, you don't understand. If you lose grip of the treadmill, you can be lost in time and space forever. Barry, we're wasting time. Like, that's Batman's response.
Oh, freaking Bruce Wayne, man.
I love it. I really love it. And so they agree. They hop on the cosmic treadmill and they are just slipping and sliding through time. And it's a super cool and intricate way that they draw the panels out. But what they see as they're going on this treadmill, they see like different versions of the Justice League that we've read about over the years. So we see like a super old school version. We see like a version from the 80s and like the early 90s. And Batman's like, what is this? Are these like alternate dimensions? And Barry says something interesting. He goes, no, they're not really alternate dimensions, but they're alternate times. Insinuating that there is a stark difference.
Yeah.
And so I think they're really saying is that like these aren't other dimensions. Like, this is our dimension, but in a different time frame. And so that's super interesting.
It really is. It's showing the capabilities. I'm not trying to, be Neil deGrasse Tyson or something up in here. But it's showing the capabilities of what we consider the past to be presently happening as well somewhere else. What we consider to be the future equally happening right now somewhere else, and that's what they're seeing essentially. If that makes sense to you, but yeah, exactly. I don't want to go too deep into that because then we'd be killing it time wise. Like this isn't science.
Like we could spend an entire podcast trying to figure out, like things of a scientific nature that neither one of us are qualified to talk about.
Exactly. We'd be sitting here like spending a minute each just like trying to piece together a single thought.
Yeah, we would, it'd be fascinating, like, to have Neil deGrasse Tyson read the button and have him on here. And
for real.
Yeah, that would be, that'd be fascinating.
Shout out to you, balls in your court, Mr. Tyson. We're down if you are, sir.
Yeah. Oh, man. But no, so they're running on this treadmill, and they're seeing all these other, like, not really alternate realities, but alternate versions of their reality.
Yeah.
And then the treadmill hits like a speed bump, and it sends them hurling kind of off track. And when they crash land, they're in a place that looks oddly familiar. Batman's looking around like, Barry, where are we? Wait, I know this place. I know this place from anywhere. This looks like my cave. And Batman's thinking, oh, so did we just go back in time to when before I set up the Batcave?
Yeah.
And which is a logical thought.
Yeah.
And Barry's trying to tell Bruce, like, no, wait, you gotta listen. There's something that I need to tell you, Bruce. But before Barry can say that, Bruce, he goes over and he sees a picture of his mother, his father, and himself at 10 years old. And then he sees a gun in a case. And Batman looks at that gun and he immediately remembers where that gun came from. He goes, that's the gun that Joe Chill used to kill my parents. That gun was never recovered. How is this gun here? Barry, what the hell is going on? And then it's at that point where a voice says, it's me, son. I did all of this because of you. And it's that point where we get an amazing moment in comic history where we see Thomas Wayne meet his son, Bruce, as an adult. And, they're both Batman. And I really love this moment.
Oh, yeah. No, this moment, following through with a few neighboring moments, are really some of my favorite parts of this whole story.
Yeah.
There's a list of them in this story, but this was a huge one that definitely just... I mean, it hit a lot of fans in the heart, dude.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of us reading this, I'm sure, If you haven't read it, please go read this, obviously. At this point, if this hasn't convinced you, this scene itself can convince you. But, damn, talk about dramatic impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, there was a lot of cool shit that happened in the Flashpoint. Mm-hmm. But one of the coolest moments was one of the quietest moments at the end when Barry gives Bruce the letter.
Yep.
And then we see Bruce kind of, break down, in tears as he reads the letter. And now, to see him face to face with his father again, it's like, whoa. Like, it's just a really cool encounter, to see these two meet. And,
I mean, if Batman debatably had parent issues before, he definitely does now, Yeah.
Well, I don't know, I think that this would, like, clear them up a little bit. Just because,
maybe.
He's getting some sense of closure that he didn't get to have. And so what happens next is that they do like a really, not so much a recap, but a catching up, for this, for those who maybe aren't as familiar with Flashpoint.
Right.
And so they recount the war between Wonder Woman and Aquaman. And the two have come to a truce and they decided to take over the world together, essentially. So it's like, well, shit. Like, we just can't win.
I know, right? Like, every other normal Earthling is just like, oh shit, there's nothing we can do now. The Atlanteans and the freaking Amazonians are pissed at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can we do? Oh, not a damn thing?
Not a damn thing. Okay. Cool. Goodbye.
Yeah. And so, not only are they...
And of course they're going to go storm Bruce's or Thomas's house, Yeah. Of course they're like, we got to take over the world. But wait, we have to take out the Batman to do that. Like, that's on the to-do list.
Right. They didn't come themselves, but they sent their soldiers.
Smarter.
After Bruce, because they're trying to basically wipe out first everybody that, stuck their neck out in that rebellion, in that big war during the end of Flashpoint. And of course, Batman was probably at the top of that list.
Batman and Cyborg.
And Cyborg,
just a very few list of names.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, in this specific reality, Shazam was dead. And you kind of would want him alive for this. But yeah, so Thomas, he's it's interesting because Thomas is talking, but he and Bruce really aren't saying a lot to each other. Yeah. It's really just Thomas kind of recounting what's happened since the Flash has left. And he's sitting and he's waiting for them to come because he knows that the armies are going to come after him.
Yep.
That the armies of Aquaman and Wonder Woman are going to come. And he's waiting for them, basically. He's waiting to die.
Yeah.
It's essentially what
like
he's wanting
his
to do.
last stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He wants to take out as many as he can on his way out. And then as he's sitting, wallowing, he has a button detonated to explode. That's how he's going to take him out. It's not, the button. It's a different button.
Right. Yeah. No, it's an actual pressable blow things up button.
Yeah.
Right.
Not the bloody smiley face. Yeah. But yeah, just as soon as he's contemplating pressing that button, that's when Batman and the Flash appear there.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And it's funny because you get to see how much they have in common, Thomas and Bruce, because Thomas, like, he immediately grapples Flash by the throat and goes, "None of this is real. You're not real." And is about to try to punch the shit out of Flash.
Yeah. Classic Bruce move.
Yeah. Except it's Thomas that does
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Bruce is like, that's exactly what I would have done. Dad?
Right. And of course, Flash is like, no, this is real. Like, I don't know why we're here, and I don't know why the Flashpoint still exists, because there's literally nowhere that it should exist.
Exactly.
Because it's not an alternate reality. It's their same reality, but it was shifted. Mm-hmm. And when it was shifted back, it became, of course, the New 52. So how does this exist concurrently with their mainstream reality?
Yeah.
Is what they can't figure out now.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Yeah. And actually, they quickly come to another problem with that same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before they can even sit down and hash this thing out, and before, Bruce and Thomas can really say anything to each other, because, Thomas even says, Bruce, why won't you look at me? I really can't imagine what Bruce is going through right now. Like,
Yeah.
Just like the well of emotions that he must be feeling now, seeing his dad again. So like on one hand, like I can definitely understand why he wouldn't say anything to his father, because Bruce, being the man that he is, he's probably trying to piece this all together to see how it makes sense. To see if maybe this is some kind of trick.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. But before they can even, take a second to talk, the Batcave is stormed by the armies of Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
Yep.
And they're coming down. They're there to kill Thomas Wayne. But hey, there's another Batman in the Flash.
Yep.
So hey,
our to-do list just became bigger. Damn.
Right. And it's so fun because Thomas, he's like, all right, because the treadmill is broken at this point. Once they crash landed, the cosmic treadmill got broken. And so at this point, Thomas is like, all right, Flash, you fix the treadmill, I'll hold him off. And he pulls out a gun like, shh, let's do this shit. and then, of course, Batman knocks the gun out of his hand with batarangs. Like, no, we're not doing it like this.
Dad, what the hell, man? Yeah.
And you can imagine Thomas like, yeah, what the hell, son?
Exactly. Like, well, how do you do shit? Oh, fisticuffs? Oh.
Yeah. Because it's really funny because they basically go, all right, we'll punch them.
With our fists.
With our fist. Let's do this shit. But
I so wish that was the actual dialogue. We'll just punch them. Next big old whole page panel with our fists. Oh, if only.
Yeah.
If only.
Oh, yeah. But no, it's cool, though, because we get to see two Batmen fight side by side with one another. And so it's a really cool sight to see. And they're kicking all kinds of Amazonian and Atlantean ass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Collectively. And so once they're done kicking ass, Barry, he's finally able to put together the treadmill again. Mm-hmm. And at this point, Thomas and Bruce are finally trying to have a few words with one another. And, and they even have a conversation about how Bruce knew where he was at and like the last conversation. And, how when Bruce fell in the cave and how, they had the conversation about Thomas telling him, they had to talk quiet because, I don't want to scare the bats as they were coming up out of the cave where Bruce first fell in. And it was a really cool ordeal to see. But the problem here now is that whatever force brought them to this reality is now suddenly trying to definitely take them out of that reality. Because the reality itself is now fading. The flashpoint is like disappearing.
Yeah.
And the cosmic treadmill is starting up all by itself.
Yeah. So essentially, to summarize a couple of stories points into this single moment happening, what Thomas thought was going to happen when Flash ended the Flashpoint last time is now finally happening. Then he was thinking, oh, Flash is leaving, so my world should be ending as I know it.
Right.
Oh, it's not. Oh, crap, I'm wallowing now. Oh, they're back. Now it's beginning to end. Finally,
Yeah.
Right. Just to quick summarize
that's
Thomas's point of view here,
right.
I suppose.
Yeah, and that's the very good point because, you kind of have to look at things from his perspective. Because, if you read Flashpoint, Thomas didn't want any of this to happen. And once he found out that there's a reality where his son is alive, and to get that reality back, all he has to do is sacrifice everything else.
Exactly. And there isn't a huge-ass war between the Amazonians and the Atlanteans? Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, let's take your world, buddy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like the number one reason why he decided to listen to Flash in the first place. It's because Flash told him that, no, where I come from, your son is alive and you're the one that died. You and your wife. And so, of course, that's what he chose. But now the cosmic treadmill is starting up all by itself. And Bruce, is like, well, you need to come with us. You can come with us. And then Thomas like, no, my place is here. And Batman, he goes, well, I have to tell you something, because I haven't had a chance to talk to you in like the last 30 years. Yeah. He goes, you're a grandfather. You have a grandson. And I thought they really said a lot about Bruce, how like potentially the one thing that he get to say to his father is, you have a grandson. I think that says a lot about the character of Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, what? Those are great words.
Yeah.
Like, in those few simple words, you have a grandson.
Now, he's a little shit, but you have a...
Well, yeah. Luckily, they didn't go into
Right.
detail. Like, oh, yeah, he's a little shit with green eyes. But, no, they're definitely able to summarize, like, hey, there's a lot of comfort to be had here. The family continues on. We continue on. The Waynes continue. And, you know, I'm living out your legacy, and I'm living out as a good being, a good person. And a lot is being said with those simple words. So, yeah, I completely agree. Well-chosen words.
They were, yeah. I mean, he could have said, you know, any plethora of things like that. You know, I've saved Gotham City so many times, or the world so many times, or hell, at this point, I'm trying to think where they're at in the story.
I'm a better fighter than you.
He may have potentially even be able to say, "Dad, I'm engaged." I'm trying to think if that happened before or after.
Dun dun dun. Yeah. Hopefully, that's not a spoiler for some of you out there. But yeah, no, that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say the who, so if you guys don't know, then it's not Talia, so there won't be one big happy family. No.
Awkward.
Yeah. But no, so Flash is like, look, the treadmill's gonna leave with or without us, so we gotta go. And Thomas is like, you gotta go, son. And so he actually pushes Bruce onto the treadmill, and you know, as Flash is holding Batman back and the treadmill is revving up, getting ready to go, Thomas says to Flash, Flash, you promised me that you take care of my son, and I expect you to keep your end of the bargain. And I think that's also really poignant of Thomas also, that he says something like that, you know. And Thomas, he says something really cool. He goes, you were my world, son. I delivered you myself. And the moment I saw you, I knew every choice I'd ever made had been the right ones because it led to you. So
damn, if that doesn't give you peace of mind, what could?
Yeah. He goes on to say, you're the greatest gift this life has ever given me, and there is more I should have shared in that letter, so listen to me. Don't be Batman.
That was powerful.
Yeah.
Like, when I read that, I didn't trust my eyes at first. It was very much like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, and I went on to read why, and it was perplexing, and it was a thought-provoking paragraph, and it was just, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And a part of me, admittedly, guiltily, and, you know, selfishly, was saying to myself, no, don't listen to him. He's crazy. Be Batman.
Exactly. But you're right, though. Thomas did bring up a really good reason why. He goes, find happiness, find love, you know, be the son to your son that I could never be to you.
Or be the father to your son.
Be the father to your son that I could never be to you. And he goes, let the Batman die with me. And I thought, wow, that was...
I mean, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. If people believed in life-changing conversations, not moments, not events, but conversations that character changed you, you know, took who you were and shifted the settings, that would be the one. That would be a conversation. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And what happened is, like, their last exchange is also equally as powerful. So right before the treadmill takes off, Bruce is still reaching out for his daddy. He goes, we can save you. And then in that instant, the treadmill vanishes back into the time stream. And Thomas is standing there and he says, you already have. And I was like, oh, damn.
I know, right? Daggum.
Yeah.
Turn the wheels off, man.
Yeah.
Turn them off.
I'm not cutting onions. Who's cutting onions? Yeah.
It's raining outside, damn it.
I know I'm inside. Don't ask why.
Sun's blaring through the window. It's still raining.
It's raining in my heart right now.
Exactly.
Like those were really powerful words. I mean, and here's the thing, like, you could tell that they took a lot of care to make this a sacred moment because there's only a few panels that Bruce and Thomas share together, but they made it mean something.
Right.
You know?
I mean, that itself, again, playing to Tom King's strength, was wonderfully done.
It was.
I mean, it was powerful and it was efficient and it was lasting. It's meaningful, and you see change in the characters because they had this beautiful exchange. And that, I think, says a lot about the power of the conversation.
Yeah.
That both characters were made better, visibly so, even in the short story that this is.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. And that is just a really powerful message that they put in the story. And I think that this is probably my favorite part of the book. You know, it's this whole exchange, not just seeing like the cool theatrics of Bruce and Thomas fighting side by side.
Yeah.
But seeing the conversation that these two have with each other, because I believe that that's what they would say had this happened, you know, like this is what I believe these characters would do.
Yeah.
And so to me, it made a lot of sense, and it was super powerful. Loved it.
Agreed.
Yeah. And then like in the very last moments here, as like this reality is being erased, Thomas, he's facing it like a badass, you know, he's not worrying about it.
He breaks the button.
He does,
which he's super happy about.
Yeah, he throws down that little detonator button that he had and just shatters it. But I really love like the last part of this specific. I think this is the last part of this chapter here, where Bruce and Thomas, they're both recounting like the events of when they fell in the cave.
Yeah,
and it's almost reminiscent of the Dark Knight trilogy, because they're both thinking about that moment when Bruce fell in the cave and when Thomas lifted him out, and you know, he goes, "Sometimes we fall, son, but always remember." Wings never stay down, we rise. And that was a really cool moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's at that moment where Thomas, he just like embraces it's not darkness, it's actually light. He embraces the light, the engulfing light that's just swallowed up that reality. And you know, Batman and Flash, they're back on the treadmill now. And Batman wants to go back, but Flash is like, "I'm sorry, Bruce, there's nothing to go back to. Like, it's gone. Like, whatever."
Then go recreate it,
Right.
damn it. Go save your mom again and do this over.
Yeah, let's do this whole thing all over again. Oh my gosh, what a mess that would be.
I know, right? Like, how to retract your story to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Exactly.
Right,
Just
yeah.
like rewriting different issues.
Well, that's the thing. It's not. It wouldn't be rewriting. It'd be writing over.
Basically,
writing over it,
yeah.
So it makes it even messier. Oh,
Thus, literally, your issue layout would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, and just like weirdly laying it, and like, whoa, you know,
Yeah.
with how many new flashpoints you make.
Right.
So luckily, that wasn't tossed out.
Yeah.
That ludicrous idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this time, as they're slipping back through the time stream, they're having a really hard time keeping control of the treadmill, and then all of a sudden, someone passes them, and it's none other than freaking Reverse Flash, and they're like, "Oh shit!" Like, we're at the moment in time when, after he beat my ass and ran through the time stream.
Yep. And he's getting the button.
He has the button. And so this is really cool here because they're showing us now essentially what happened once Eobard beat the shit out of Bruce Wayne and took the button and vanished. Because of course to us he was gone for moments, but to him, who knows how long it was.
Yeah.
So he's running through the time stream now with the button, and Flash and Batman, they're trying to stop him. Like, look, you need to listen to us. You need to stop. You're going to die if you go to whatever the destination is. But you know, you can't tell Reverse Flash nothing. It's like, no, you guys can't fool me. Like, I'm going to finally, you know, see my purpose now. I'm going to like, he thinks he's going to go get something that's so grandiose and important.
Yeah.
That he's going to find like a bigger meaning now, that he's going to get more power. And then he even begins to taunt Barry because he's not tethered to Barry anymore. And then he goes, maybe I'll go back in time, kill your mother, and I'll be the one that raises you. I'm like, oh shit.
I know, right? Like, dang gum, dude.
Right.
That's a plot.
Yeah. And so, yeah, at this point now, like, they're really not trying, or Reverse Flash really isn't trying to hear what they're saying, but he's running towards what we are going to find out was obviously an abyss for him.
And this was a very cool scene, too. Obviously, laying some seeds, planting them for the next chapter in this.
Yeah. Absolutely. So as they're running through, you know, they're trying to stop Reverse Flash, but he's not listening. He holds up the button and then boom, like he he disappears and goes to his own way. And they're like, damn, we aren't able to stop him, so we won't really be able to find out what the hell happened to him. And then as he goes, yes, this is it. This is where the trail ends, and I've arrived, yeah. And then he kind of starts to talk shit, He's talking now about how, whoever you are, come out, face me. You've never seen someone like me before, like the Reverse Flash. And he goes, show yourself. I can't be erased anymore. Because what fear does he have at this point? He's untethered, so he is...
Yeah.
He even says that he's a living paradox now, because he is.
He is. I mean, he's died multiple times, and it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. He's like, even if I died now, I'll just come back at a different point in time. Like,
what a clever writing.
It is.
Really. Yeah.
And, I thought about this during reading the button, like, not that I'm an extremely good writer or anything, but there's certain comic characters I would love to write for, and certain ones I wouldn't. Yeah. I would not want to write for the Flash, because there's so much...
Hell no.
That goes into it if you want to keep it cohesive,
Yeah, I mean, first off, way too many different types of speedsters now. No. And secondly, way too powerful of a force and way too capable of a force. To me, obviously the Speed Force there, and it's like,
To me, the problem would be trying to keep everything together as far as, like, the time travel, because that's always complicated. And having someone like the Reverse Flash that breaks all those laws, and trying to think about what the capabilities of that are.
Exactly. Like, that itself, you'd have to lay out the foundation of your story and know what the hell you're writing before you even write it.
Yeah. And then, like, on top of that, like, not even just trying to understand the time travel aspect, but also trying to understand the capabilities of a speedster. Like, if someone can run this fast, what all would that enable them to do also? And in trying to keep up with that, like, how fast can they run? Like, what's the cap?
Exactly. Keeping it canonical with the character.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. That'd be damn hard to do.
Nope.
Damn hard to do. Yeah.
Nope.
But no, it's done really well here.
Oh, yeah. No, these guys did it the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, so as Reverse Flash is talking shit now, he goes, show yourself, and he looks up and he's like, oh shit. And then at this point he starts to backtrack all of his words, like, no, hey, wait a minute now. Like, no, listen, please don't do it. I'm sorry. No.
I don't want to die.
Yeah, I don't want to die. Yeah, he didn't. I don't think he gets to say die. He goes, I don't.
No, he says, and then it's cut off.
It's cut off. Yeah. And we see like some type of blue aura force just like obliterate him. And then Batman hears that scream again, and Batman's like, I know that scream. Like, he's gone.
Yep. Again, probably this time for good.
Yeah. But now something else immediately interesting happens. So at this point, the treadmill that Batman and the Flash are on is falling to pieces. And they're going to be lost just to any type of time or dimension now. And who knows what the hell happens then. But as the treadmill is falling apart, there's a voice that's calling out to Barry. And we don't see who the voice is or where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And but the voice keeps calling out to Barry. Barry doesn't want to answer it because in Barry's mind, he's thinking this is just a siren's call. Yeah. Like, if I heed this call, it's going to pull me in somewhere I don't want to be.
Right. And you're going to be lost to the Speed Force.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. But Batman's like, Barry, I think you should really answer the call. And then, like, the voice eventually goes, say my name. He goes, I'm Jay. And Barry goes, Jay? And that's enough. And then we see Jay Garrick. Like the OG Flash.
With the metal helmet and everything. Yeah.
We see him. And I'm like, oh shit, it's Jay Garrick. Yeah.
As you're reading this edition of the book that you have and everything, I loved how you were able to turn the page. And then everyone was redrawn in that old school style.
Yeah.
And even Reverse Flash, who didn't exist in this style, everyone got a page there. And it's like, oh, this is cool.
It was cool, yeah.
Good job, artist.
Right.
Yeah, clever.
It was, yeah. It was really cool the way that they drew it. It was also really cool to see Jay Garrick back.
Yeah.
Even if just for this instance here. So Jay Garrick, he goes, I'm free. And so what we can assume happened here to Jay Garrick is that he had the same fate that Wally did, except he wasn't able to find his lightning rod.
Yeah.
And so he was lost to the time force, to the speed force. He became one with it. But seeing Barry and trying to get Barry to just remember him, even just a little bit, gave him enough power to be himself again and to help Barry and Batman get back to their home reality.
Home making his lightning rod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, Jay, he's able to get Barry and Batman back to their hometown or home reality.
Well, yeah. Potato, potato.
And same thing. And he's able to stay for just a moment, but as he's there, Flash is like, so what happened? Did you kill Thawne? Who are you? And Jay goes, no, I didn't kill Reverse Flash. Something else did. And he goes, but you don't remember me, do you, Barry? He goes, my name is Jay Garrick, and I was a Flash, and I was your friend. And
damn, that's cold.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, he didn't say it in the sense of like,
No, but that's still like, oh. Because obviously the Flash at this point is like,
he doesn't know.
I'm trying to remember you. Yeah. And at that point, it's like, oh shit, that sucks.
It does, yeah. It does suck. And so the way that it's drawn, like Jay Garrick has like this almost remorseful look on his face because he knows that he can't stay. He knows that he's gonna just fade right back into the Speed Force. And so they're talking, and he goes, hopefully I'll be able to find you again someday, essentially. And so he's trying to tell Barry essentially that you have to remember me, and Barry's like, I'm sorry, but I don't. And yeah, and so unfortunately, it looks like he almost excruciatingly is zapped back into the Speed Force.
Yeah, while it was about to have done to him.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And Barry's like, damn. He goes, that really sucks because Barry, he felt some type of emotional attachment to this guy, but he couldn't remember him.
Yeah.
And so Barry was like, I feel bad, but I guess he was never able to find his lightning rod, whatever his lightning rod was. And so that was a pretty cool moment there that we got to see Jay come back. And so, essentially at the end of this adventure here, Batman and Flash, they're like, we went on one hell of an adventure, but we didn't learn a whole lot. Yeah. Like we don't know what the hell really went down.
They just witnessed the power of whomever, and then left with more questions.
Right.
Yeah.
I also have this down to something that's really poignant. So,
what's up?
Later on, Barry and Bruce, they go to visit Bruce's or the Wayne's cemetery, and Bruce says, Barry, you're the only person I know who's suffered loss like I have, and also had a glimpse of the alternative, a moment of hope beyond dream. It's almost cruel. And I thought about it, and I was like, that's true.
Yeah.
Because Barry lost, his mother at a young age and had to live with that.
Check.
And because of the Flashpoint, he was able to be with his mother for a small time, but then, of course, he lost it again.
Yep.
And then with Batman, just now, of course, he lost his parents when he was a boy. And now with the cosmic treadmill, he was able to see his father one more time.
Yep.
And then it was stripped away again in moments. And
at that point, it's like, would you like the experience, or would you like to live in ignorance, knowing that the experience would cause you pain afterwards?
Right. And I don't know what the answer is to that.
Personal preference, man.
Yeah.
I'm leaving it to that, because maybe you would find more comfort than pain in having that last miracle conversation like Batman and Flash have had.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're one who doesn't want the pain and would rather not have this last enduring miracle moment and just live with the current amount of suffering that you have.
Yeah.
So again,
right.
Personal
because
preference.
I almost feel like it would almost be like a numbness, like a dull numbness, like a dull pain that you almost forget is there, but you still know that the pain is there.
Right.
And then like to see them again, I feel like that would make the pain anew, make it a sharp pain.
Right.
Once you realize that, oh, this can't last.
It uncovers the scar and literally kind of just tears it back open some. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought that was an interesting comment and interesting question, because I don't. Yeah. Like you said, it is a preference.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, they're talking and they're kind of reviewing the events of Reverse Flash, and they're thinking what could have done that to Reverse Flash, like because he's no slouch. Like it's not easy. First of all, they're right? It's damn near impossible to kill him now.
Yeah,
but something did more than just kill him; it obliterated him.
exactly. Eliminated the paradox.
Right.
Which, who all can do that?
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so they're talking about, well, I mean, do you think that God did this? And if so, like why? And what are we referring to as this God?
Yeah.
And so like they're walking back somewhere and they're just still talking, like, this is all strange. Like this can't all be coincidence. We get on the cosmic treadmill. Or like the button shows up first, and Reverse Flash shows up, and it kills him, and then you and I go on this adventure, and the treadmill takes us to my father that I get to see, and then the treadmill takes us back, and that dimension is destroyed immediately afterwards.
Yep.
It cannot all be coincidence.
No.
Yeah.
Someone was driving the treadmill.
Right. Yeah. And so they're thinking, well, what kind of force could cause something like this? And the last panel. Here is super powerful.
This had me shaking my head, dude. Yeah. I was so sad.
Yeah.
I was just like, no, bruh. No, dude. Yeah. Come on, Bats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens
Go
is
ahead.
that...
Talk about
it. Bruce, he's standing at the window, and you can tell he's thinking about everything. At this point, he's probably more so... Actually, we know he's more so thinking about what his father said to him.
Yeah.
And he's standing there, looking out the window, and then the bat signal appears in the sky, and he looks up at it, and he just looks up at it, and he's playing the words again that his father said in his head, don't be Batman, find happiness, you don't have to do this for me, don't do it for your mother, let the Batman die with me. He's thinking about those words, and as he's looking up into the night sky at the bat signal, Alfred comes up, and Alfred goes, sir, are you going to answer that? And Batman looks up at the back signal and he just lets his head down and doesn't say anything. And and that's where the main story ends. Like, wow.
Yeah. That says a lot. And
yeah.
I mean, it begs the question, like, what are you going to do from this point on? Mm-hmm. And I guess in a backstory sense, the reason he became the Batman was exactly the thing that just told him, nah, it's okay, don't be the Batman anymore. Right. We're cool. You take care of you finally.
Right. Take care of you and your son.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's beautiful and rare, and in a lot of cases unfathomable.
Right.
And in this miracle happenstance, it did happen. And it did come across. And it did finally tell him, no, undo this, stop, get out, don't do it anymore. What do you do? And I can't imagine trying to comprehend the emotion and the thought process behind this man right now as he does hang his head.
Yeah.
So
it's gotta be damn hard because, like you said, on one hand, that tether that caused him to become Batman just gave him a get out of jail free card, just said, look, don't be Batman. And like you said, gave him all the reasons as to why, and said, I'm going to be fine, your mother's going to be fine, just find happiness, take care of yourself and your son. But on the other hand, like, I think he also feels an obligation now to take care of Gotham, because there's got to be a feeling like, if I don't do this, then who will? Because in Bruce's mind, Bruce is ready to lay down his life to save Gotham. And he doesn't want, not that he doesn't think that anyone else would do that. Right. He doesn't want anyone else to have to do that.
Right. You know what came to mind whenever you asked that? Like, who else would do that?
Yeah.
His family would happily do that, dude.
Yeah.
Nightwing, Damon would happily take care of things, Even the Red Hood, freaking Jason would be happy to mow down some fools with his bullets.
Oh, yeah. But, that leads to an interesting point because, of course, this was also written by Tom King. Of course, Tom King, like I said earlier, writes for Batman now.
Right.
And one of his best moments that I've read so far was an introspective moment it was when Batman had to face Bane again, a fully venomed out Bane. And Batman, he was thinking to himself, and he goes, "I don't want anyone else to have to do this." He's thinking, not that I don't. He goes, "I know that if I die, someone will take my place, probably Dick, and I don't want him to die. I don't want anyone else to have to die." And he's thinking. So essentially, like there's people there that would, and I think he does know that, but he doesn't want them to have to die.
And that's a noble and fair thought, really. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But and also it's interesting because it's essentially saying that he's doing this expecting it to end with his death. Like he knows that there's not a happy ending for him as Batman.
Yeah, I mean, in a metaphorical sense, you can't expect to shoot your weapon and not get shot back at.
Yeah.
You can expect to take action and not have action taken against you, in other words.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
What we get next, though, like this last panel or two here is also really good stuff.
It is.
So at the end of DC Rebirth, what we got was Wally's watch, because Wally, he talked about a watch that his uncle had given him, and that watch ended up on Mars somehow by the end of the book. And the watch was being deconstructed and reconstructed perfectly. And as that was happening, there was a conversation being played out on the panels. It was the last conversation between Ozymandias and Dr. Manhattan. Mm-hmm. And here, we're also in space, and then there's the button, and we see a blue hand pick up the button, and we get the last, or one of the last conversations between Dr. Manhattan and Laurie. Mm-hmm. And so it's really cool though, just to see that those wordplay played out again.
Yeah.
And because it's one of my favorite quotes from the Watchmen, and so I had to.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know you have it written down. Please share. Yeah.
Why does my perception of time distress you? Everything is preordained, even my responses. We're all puppets, Laurie. I'm just a puppet who can see the strings. Love that.
That is damn good, dude. I loved it when I first read it. I loved it when we talked about it. I loved it when we reread it again for the podcast.
Right.
Yeah. Damn good quote.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a super good quote. And then, you think about it, like, so why did they put that here? Why are they recounting these events here? Saying that it doesn't matter. First of all, I love the original message in and of itself,
Right.
It essentially saying that, look, I do perceive time all as one. Mm-hmm. I see like the past and the present and potentially even the future. Yeah, the future also all as one.
Yep.
But he goes, that shouldn't distress you because everything we do is already preordained. Even my responses.
Yeah.
He goes, everyone is a puppet. I can just see the strings, and I think that's super powerful. And I'm trying to figure out how does that powerful statement play into what we just witnessed in the button.
I think it's further verifying to us the power that Dr. Manhattan now holds in the DC universe. Because we knew of the deal forever ago that the Watchmen series is now bought and owned by DC Comics. And this is a story of the integration of those characters and Dr. Manhattan specifically into this storyline. And I think that is further playing into the idea that he is very much involved with this, and that there should be no second guessing that whatever reason there is, Dr. Manhattan's powers, or something Dr. Manhattan very much related, is the force making this happen, Now, however that's being done, again, I don't know. I don't want to know. I want to read the story and organically learn like a fanboy should, damn it. But he is definitely involved, and he sees the strings, and I think on a deeper level, because this comic did raise more questions than it answered, it did raise, concerns that our main characters in the story don't even know about, and things that they're, wondering themselves.
Yeah.
It again verifies that, okay, we're trying to see where the hell everything's going. We're trying to understand the fact that we're puppets, whereas Dr. Manhattan is reassuring, look, I see the strings, guys. Mm-hmm. I see what's going to happen, and to be continued, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So trying to interlay those, I'm sure, you know?
Yeah.
But no, you're right. It's still very much a what other reason there is for that quote here thought, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best I can piece together on the spot.
No, I mean, yeah, that's really good. Because I'm not certain myself. I think maybe because like our heroes in this story, Batman and Flash, like we said earlier, they're contemplating the fact that, you know, they're like the only two that have experienced loss, regained it temporarily, and then lost it again.
Yeah.
And then maybe has them wondering about their decisions. And then, of course, there's Batman who's wondering about, should I still be Batman?
Yeah.
And I think that maybe, you know, this thing here at the end with Dr. Manhattan is basically just, you know, maybe it's for them, you know, trying to tell them, look, it doesn't matter what you do because whatever you do has already been preordained. Like, this is what's going to happen.
Also, yes.
Yeah.
That's another good point in relating everything that we've talked about tonight.
Right.
I think that ties in very well, accidentally and coincidentally, with my thought. You know, I hope we didn't confuse any listeners out there.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very confusing topic.
It is
in a good way.
It makes more sense if you read the story. So if that had to be one of the last thoughts of tonight, as always, guys, read the story.
Yeah, I mean, you really do. I mean, honestly, there is like a lot of upkeep here. But you know, the thing of it is that we've covered everything that you would need to know. We've covered the Watchmen.
Yep.
We've covered Flashpoint.
Also, yes.
We've covered Rebirth.
Oh, yes.
And now we've covered the button.
What do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we're the tutorial videos or audio recordings here. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, guys, so I mean, for sure, like that's the button. It does also end with a glimmer of hope for you Superman fans, because of course Clark Kent from the New 52 was dead and gone, and then we see like his emblem at the end, but then that's immediately overshadowed by the Doomsday Clock, saying that Doomsday is coming, in the sense of Doomsday Clock. Yeah,
we'll see, man.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
It's a fascinating read.
It is, for sure. So yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed that. You know, we certainly did. This is a great read, a great continuation of a great story.
Yep.
And we'll be back this Sunday, guys, and we'll be covering. Well, actually, we won't be really covering anything this Sunday.
Oh yeah, that's right. We have a very special, fun thing this upcoming Sunday. Yes,
we do.
I'm excited.
Oh yeah. So what we'll be doing this Sunday, guys, it's going to be like a hodgepodge of questions, some serious and some silly. So we're going to just have a bunch of random questions pertaining to comic books and superhero. We're going to have them in a bucket, and we're going to draw these questions at random and then address them accordingly.
Yep.
Yeah. So
lots of on the spot thinking.
Yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's going to be a good one. And so of course, if you guys, if you guys listen to this before Sunday and you guys have some ideas that you'd like for us to answer, then please hit us up and let us know what you guys want to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. And be that a serious or a silly question, we'd welcome them, because we'd gratefully read them online and maybe give you a shout out or so and say, hey, that is a funny question. Let's talk about this seriously, damn it. Yeah. Right. Oh, man.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's going to be it for tonight, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, so as always, if you guys have any other kind of questions, comments, gifts, food supplies, or buttons, and then hit us up at superherohomies@gmail.com or the Facebook page, Superhero Homies.
I'd wear the button.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I'd spot that.
Thanks. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I wouldn't be the comedian, but yes.
But yeah, guys, we see you guys this coming Sunday. Until then, I'm Quentin.
I'm Kevin.
Till next time.